Well, hello, day 45. It's actually really late in the day. I have been chilling around. I think I put in yesterday's video that I wound up coming off the trail at Tennessee 91. The shin splints that I had were aggravating to the point that I really needed to come off and rest and rehab and that sort of thing. So this is going to be a short video tonight, or today, this morning, because it's morning probably when you're looking at this, or at least it is if you're some of my family and friends and such. So I just want to kind of update you, and I'm going to just kind of throw a hodgepodge of things together in this, and just try to make it as interesting as possible, but keep it kind of short. You know, my mom was an English teacher, and people would always ask her, well, how long does this paper need to be? And she said, well, it should be like a lady's skirt. It should be long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to be interesting. So hopefully I will have a ladies skirt type video for you today. So updates, I think I mentioned yesterday, we were blessed twice over. The trail provides, that's a saying that's out here. And, you know, it's true. You know, it seems like whenever you have a need, something somehow will pop up and help you to have that need taken care of. So we were blessed yesterday that our good friend, longtime friend Paul, was planning on coming out to visit us anyway. And so he met us at the trailhead 4 miles out yesterday from the shelter we stayed at. He pulled us up, and he actually made us some lunch. So that was kind of cool. We sat there in the 30-degree weather and kind of froze, but he had stuff to make quesadillas. So we were by golly going to take him up on some food. Medicine Man was with us, so he for sure needed to eat. So we had some food yesterday, and then Paul was willing to bring us here into town. We found a hostel, tried to find the most cost-efficient and comfortable place that we could stay in. I think we did it here at the Broken Fiddle. Highly recommend it. It's I have a feeling that sometimes it has a rather party atmosphere, but you know, you don't have to partake in all of that. And it's not always like that. It just depends on the people. And, you know, right now the people that have been here have been more or less older hikers, my age or older, that have, you know, behaved themselves, and they've just had a really good time. So anyway, we're at the Broken Fiddle. I think I also mentioned yesterday that I have a friend in a nearby town to home, which is probably an hour and a half or 2 hours from here. I haven't looked it up, who is a medical doctor, and he, as trail magic, you know, he insisted, well, let me ride up tomorrow after I get off work and give a look and just sort of see what's going on with your leg. So his name's Rick, and he came up and gave a look to the leg and said, yep, definitely shin splints, and made some recommendations on, you know, definitely elevate it, ice it, and you know, take some pain relief, compression socks. He brought me all manner of stuff, and I'll show you some pictures. One of the things that he brought is it's a thing that recirculates ice water. So there's a little pad that, and I'll just have to take a picture or a short video, and I'll just do this voiceover right now, but there's a little pad that Velcros around my leg. It goes down on either side of the ankle bone and then over the top of my foot. And it's a plastic bladder, and it's attached to a couple of hoses that just continually recycle ice water around that leg. And that's making a lot of difference. I've had run the thing for several 90-minute cycles today, and you know, when it's done, it's numb, so you don't feel anything anyway. But even after I've taken it off for a little while and have been moving around, it's not hurting nearly so bad. So I think I'm hopeful, crossing my fingers, that maybe one more day of icing, and I'll be able to be ready to go again here in another day or so. We're trying to stay within a budget, and budgeting a 3 or 4 zeros in the middle of the hike is kind of a tough thing to do. But at the same time, I don't want to let this go and let it be something that ends our hike. So we're trying to treat it now while we're close to home, and we're blessed in that regard. Another thing that I want to share with you in the video is Gavin never did get a trail video to me, or trail name video. I've got one that actually, if you're curious where Waffle comes from, one of the earlier videos in the channel before we started hiking was the story behind why my name on trail is Waffle. So if you haven't watched that one, go back and have a look. It's kind of an interesting story. Actually, it's 3 different stories rolled into one, so that's kind of a neat thing. So I'll put Gavin's little video in as to why he's called Hawkeye right here.
All right, so for those of you who do not know me, my name is Hawkeye, and today I'm going to be telling you the story of how I got my trail name. So I have ADHD, So I am always looking everywhere but at the trail and what I'm supposed to be doing. So I often see things that other people will miss. And so originally my trail name was just going to be Hawk, because when I was 13 and 14, when we hiked the trail the first time, I could make this really annoying screeching sound that sounded a lot like a hawk. But unfortunately I can't do that anymore. But we met another guy named Hawk who just absolutely blew us out of the water hiking up Sassafras Mountain. And so one lady, I think her name was So Far So Good, recommended that I go with Hawkeye, and it's been Hawkeye ever since.
Another thing that I wanted to share with you a little bit about is, and I'm sure that at some point we'll start to have the questions, what are your fears on the trail? You know, when we hiked in 2019, I had a friend who, you know, every time I saw him, he said, "Rob, are you taking a gun with you?" Well, no, we're not taking a gun with us, because one, it's heavy. I'm not licensed. I don't know how to use a gun. I don't have the appreciation that a lot of people have for those. And it's not necessary. You know, he said, "Well, what about bears?" Well, you know, bears are a concern. There's a lot of wildlife out here that could do some damage. And I've already shown you in one of my videos how some shelters have bear cables, so that at night you hoist your food up in the air at least 10 feet or 12 feet off the ground, so that the bears can't get into your food, and that kind of deters them from lingering around the campsite. You're always very, very careful to not leave any kind of food laying around the shelter areas or in the campsite. You try to cook several feet away from where you're sleeping so that those food odors don't linger. But you know, what about meeting bears on the trail? Because in 2019, we did see a bear. We were in the Shenandoah National Forest up in Virginia. And the thing about the American black bear, Ursus americanus is the name. I don't know why I know that, but it is. If the bears read the same books that we read, they are supposed to be way more afraid of humans than they are, or than we are or should be of them. You know, when you approach bears on trail, or when you see one, the first thing you need to do is stop. Obviously, you're going to make noise. You're going to yell, "Hey bear!" Yell at it. Start singing "Happy Birthday" to the bear, or bang your trekking poles. Just make a lot of noise, and typically, you know, most of the time, that's enough to move the bear on off the trail, and it'll scamper on down into the woods and be gone. The one thing that you do have to worry about with black bears, though, is if you ever see cubs, the mama is going to be somewhere nearby, and you have to be especially careful not to cross between the mother bear and her cubs. So we're always vigilant about that. You've noticed that I, a lot of times, will hike with, I've mentioned that I listen to audiobooks and music on the trail sometimes, just to for entertainment purposes. But I always just have one earbud in. That way and I don't have the noise cancellation on it, so that I can still hear things that are going on in the woods behind me. So if I hear big noises, I'm certainly going to stop what I'm listening to and stop myself and do some looking around and see. And you know, that'll help me to be aware of my surroundings, so that I don't walk up on the mama bear and the cubs. What have I seen so far? I've seen a few squirrels, and I've seen a few mice in the shelters, and quite a few deer. I've seen, there was one day I was coming down the trail and I saw 3 deer kind of just bouncing around in the bottom of a little valley. The last day we hiked, actually, I spooked a couple of deer that were there up the trail from where I was, and they didn't run fast off, but they meandered on. But the neat thing I'm looking forward to is, in a lot of places, we're in protected lands where animals know that there's not any danger from hunting, and as a consequence, they don't have a fear of humans. So I have been, you know, within 5 or 10 feet of a deer and just stood there and videotaped the deer and talked to it while it ate leaves off a tree before, and that's just a really, really neat thing. So I'm looking forward to that. Other things that I worry about, and I don't spend a lot of time worrying, but things to be concerned about. We're not there yet, but soon we'll be dealing with snakes, and you know, venomous snakes on the trail. We will have timber rattlesnakes and copperheads most commonly. My experience in the past has been that with the rattlesnakes, you're going to know that they're there. If you get close to them, they're gonna start rattling and make noise, and you know, eventually you can either find a way to get around them, or they'll move on off the trail. Copperheads are not so friendly in that regard. So to let you know that they're there, they tend to hide in leaves. And I remember going to a bear box one morning to get my food, and there was a copperhead coiled around up underneath the bear box. So those those I am concerned about, but I'm also vigilant to watch where I'm stepping. So I don't lay awake nights worrying about those things, but I am certainly concerned and vigilant not to get into snakes and that sort of thing. And then the big thing, the thing that you really have to worry about here on the trail that's probably cause for more injury than any of the other things is ticks. And we're beginning to get into tick season. We've seen one or two already, but ticks can carry Lyme disease, which is something that you really definitely don't want to have. So we know, we will be treating our clothes in the next, few weeks. We'll be treating them with a chemical called permethrin, and that's a deterrent. It'll keep the ticks from climbing up over your clothes and into underneath your clothes and all that sort of thing. So we'll do that, and that's a good deterrent. And then, of course, we do a tick check at night just to make sure that we've got nothing going on, and we know what to do. If we see a tick bite, we know that if there's a little bullseye ring around that within the next 10 days to 2 weeks, we know immediately that we need to get to an urgent care and get some doxycycline, because that's an indicator that you've been bitten by a tick that carries Lyme disease. So, we're aware and we know what to do, and, we will take great care to be as safe as we can be out here. So since I am kind of laid up here in town for a few more days, I suspect, I'm hoping that I will end my icing tomorrow and will have reduced swelling, much, much less pain, and we'll be able to walk out maybe after another day's rest beyond tomorrow. Probably I'll have another video kind of like this tomorrow that's just sort of a trail update and just sharing some information that you may not know about the Appalachian Trail. And I hope that in the next day or so, I'll be able to walk around Damascus a little bit, because there's some places that I would like to go. I'm definitely going to need to go to the outfitter, which is, honestly, it's probably less than 100 yards here from where we're staying. So I want to get down to the outfitter. I know I need to buy some gas. I wouldn't mind to look at a new raincoat. So there's some things that I want to do here in Damascus, but then there's some other things that I'd like to share with you. A lot of people have asked about water filtration, and I've already got a video or two out there. I have a separate video about the little blue ring that's on my Sawyer Squeeze water filter, that allows me to attach smart bottles or Coke bottles or whatever to it and just gravity feed. So that video is before my trail video started. And another question that I've been having a little bit about just escaped my mind. Navigation. How do we get around? And I know that you have seen some of the apps that I use. There's two. There's an app called Far Out, which is a mapping app. It's GPS enabled. And I'd like to show you sort of how that works and what it does for us. And then the other one that we use for planning is, it's actually a book, but I have a PDF copy of it on my phone, so I don't have to carry the 8-ounce book. It's called the AT Guide. So probably tomorrow I'll share some information about those two navigational devices. And for people that watch AT videos, I think you would enjoy having, especially the AT Guide. It's not a very expensive book. It's $15 or $18, I think. And when I'm sitting there watching trail videos, and I have been for years now, I'll pick, a good handful of hikers that are going to do through hikes and try to follow their journey just like you're following mine. And I'm especially grateful for that. But having that AT Guide right there on the table beside my chair, I can kind of look and see, oh, okay, so you're here, so you're going to be doing this and that and the other tomorrow. So I'll share more about that tomorrow without letting all the cats out of the bag tonight. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Again, this is a short video where, I'm laid up in town and Hawkeyes with me, and hopefully another day or so of convalescing and getting ice on my leg and healing up. I'll be good to go, and we'll be back out headed towards Grayson Holland soon. So talk to you later.